This is an African boxthorn. They're closely related to goji berries and part of the nightshade family. They're a big problem across the northern and York landscape region because they invade native pastures, native vegetation. They've got these really woody spines that prevent access to watering points by stock, and they shelter pest animals like foxes and rabbits. They're really drought tolerant and they spread really quickly because they produce these red berries that birds and foxes love. They invade coastal areas, dunes and soft soils, and they're found throughout most of the northern and York landscape region. Landholders within the northern and York region have an obligation to control this declared boxthorn on their property. Today we're going to be running through some of the tools you can use to do so. Boxthorns are a weed of national significance for good reason. They're really difficult to control once they're established in the landscape. All boxthorn control requires sustained, long-term effort to successfully eradicate them from your land. Mechanical control of boxthorns is a really good way to get rid of big dense infestations when you can get a vehicle in. Things like specialist boxthorn pluckers are a great tool, as well as winches and ropes. When you're pulling them out, it's important to do it when there's enough soil moisture that no roots remain. Any roots left in the ground can reshoot and you'll end up with the same problem you started with. The other thing to be careful of is pulling them out when there's fruit on. If you pull them out and the fruit drops into that freshly disturbed soil, it will germinate really readily and you'll end up back at square one as well. With mechanical control, follow-up's always essential, using either mechanical control again or one of the other control techniques I'm about to discuss. Foliar sprays can be used when plants are healthy and in full leaf prior to warm temperatures. Care should be taken to thoroughly cover all the foliage for effective results, and the resilient root system of boxthorns often means that they can reshoot when using this method. Care should be taken to avoid off-target damage, especially around native vegetation. Cut and swab is one of the most useful techniques for controlling boxthorn, especially small infestations. It's really easy to have a pair of loppers and an applicator like this sitting in the back of your ute. As you patrol the property, you can control boxthorns as you go. It's an easy little cut and then a swab. For a list of herbicides that you can use for cut and swab, consult the PIRSA Weed Handbook Management Guide or consult your local landscape officer. The other couple herbicide control options you've got for African boxthorns are basal bark spraying, which is when the bottom 40 centimetres of the plant is sprayed. Again, consult the PIRSA Weed Handbook or your local landscape officer for which herbicides and what rates to use. The final chemical control option is soil residual herbicides. They can come in a pelletised form or in a ground injection form. They're both really effective at controlling boxthorns over the long term, but they need to be used with a lot of care because they remain in the soil for 3 or 4 years, and they also have big impacts on native vegetation where they're not used carefully. Another consideration with boxthorns is that they're often the only shrub in a landscape, providing habitat for small birds and cover for your livestock. In these cases, it's important to slowly phase them out and introduce some native plants to take their place in the landscape. If you'd like further info on controlling boxthorns on your property, or would like a landscape officer to come out and have a property visit and discuss the issue with you, get in contact with the Landscape Board or head to our website for further info.